1 week and 1 day. That's what we have left before the June 28th primary, believe that or not. We're actually going to be talking to some candidates throughout the week and even early next week from up and down the spectrum, especially here in Illinois, where in central Illinois, you've got contested races for Illinois House, Illinois Senate. You've also got the gubernatorial election that's taken a lot of attention and some other races as well. So we'll be talking about all of that. But then it's going to be a steady march to November where it's going to be, an interesting lead up, especially with all of the issues of crime and all the issues of inflation and questions about the January 6th commission, what kind of outcomes they're going to bring about, or is that really just a much lower issue on the spectrum of things that voters are concerned about? But there is some speculation that Republicans are going to have a very, very healthy outcome in November, and what some people say is going to be a red wave. So some political figures were asked about this in particular last week. We're going to hear from those here with Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. And in particular, you had both Governor J.B. Pritzker asked about a possible red wave, and you had a 13th Congressional District candidate for the Republicans, Jesse Rising, asked about it as well. And here's what they had to say, starting with Jesse Rising, and then you'll hear Governor J.B. Pritzker, and then back to Jesse Rising talking about some of the issues that are of utmost concern. It's right here with Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk, and I'd love to hear from you as well at 217-629-7970. Do you think that there's potentially a red wave coming? Again, 217-629-7970. That's the phone number. Here is Jesse Rising, one of several candidates looking for the Republican nomination for the 13th Congressional District here throughout central Illinois.
The Republican Party's in a great place. We just saw in Texas, we had a special election in a district that was supposed to be decisively Democratic, and it's now gone for a Republican. So the Republican Party's in a great place. We're expecting a big red wave come November, and we feel very good about our chances both in June and November.
There's some things that you don't know whether they're going to happen. All I know is that I've been fighting for 4 years to lift up working families and people who've been left out and left behind, to make sure that we get justice for people who deserve to get justice. We passed a historic balanced budget that not only put our state on firmer fiscal footing, but also sent $1.8 billion of tax relief to people across the state, because we were able to balance the budget and because we knew that people need help. Rising price of gas and groceries and really everything in people's lives, being able to put hundreds of dollars, even thousands of dollars back into people's pockets so that they can better afford those things. Very important. It's why the legislature worked so hard on this budget to get that done.
You know, I worked at Caterpillar growing up as a teenager, and it's really disheartening to me to see this move. But I think it's no surprise because we just saw Boeing leave as well. And so if we don't really make our communities safer and lessen the burden on businesses in this state, then we're going to continue to see this kind of trend.
So again, that was Governor J.B. Pritzker and a Republican vying for the 13th Congressional District nomination. Sounding off on some of the issues that they see as being prevalent in people's minds as they head to the polls. But we still got a June 28th primary to get through. And in particular, you've got the gubernatorial primary. There are 6 Republicans vying for the GOP nomination. There's 2 Democrats vying for the Democratic nomination. Of course, incumbent Governor J.B. Pritzker and Beverly Miles, a Chicago area nurse and U.S. Army veteran. And I'm set to talk with Beverly a little bit later on this morning. We'll share some of that conversation with you tomorrow morning here with Springfield's Morning News. But Governor J.B. Pritzker apparently not really too concerned, especially as campaigning's ongoing with the final week ahead of us. But he is actually campaigning over in New Hampshire, where part of his speech in front of the New Hampshire Democratic Party convention laid out some of what at least he says is a major concern, not just in Illinois, but also all across the country. Here's some of the governor's speech in New Hampshire.
So just like it is in every major city and state around the country right now, crime is a problem in Illinois. Republicans are hell-bent on making you believe that the solutions are simple. They begin and end with veiled rhetoric that points at black and brown people, and then they scream, "Lock them up." Reducing crime, though, starts with real investments in proven violence interruption programs, youth employment, funding for mental health and substance use treatment, and providing law enforcement with the resources they need to solve crimes.
So again, Governor J.B. Pritzker on the stump over in New Hampshire, and that has people questioning whether the governor is focused on another 4-year term as governor, or if he's going to be focusing on possibly making a bid for the White House come 2024, which would be in the middle of a potential 4-year term if he was to indeed win re-election. So those are some of the things at play here. And of course, it's politics. And we'll watch all this unfold. But one factor that I'm not sure has been highlighted too much is the third party factor and how that could play a role in elections come November. Of course, you've got the June 28th primary here in Illinois that's just focused on Illinois Republicans and Illinois Democrats. The so-called third parties, Green Party, Libertarian, and others, they don't take part in the taxpayer-funded primary. They have to hash out who their candidates are going to be privately before we get to the November election. So we'll watch all that unfold here with Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and